Hello friends, friends on YouTube, DesignIY coming back again today. Just wanted to do a quick build video. If you've already watched the shop design video, you know I was able to design a workbench there on the computer without actually putting these things together physically. And today we're going to build that bench, see how she does. In fact, I've already made one just to make sure it would work, and it does work great. So I just wanted to go over a couple things that you might need real quick at first. If you're trying to build this same thing, we got the tabletop. I chose 3/4 inch thick plywood. Just seemed to be solid enough, so I got a 4x8 sheet of that. We'll be cutting her down. And then we need some 1x6s. We need a pair of them, 45-degree cuts on either end. And those are going to be 67.5 inches long. Another pair, both with 45-degree miters on either end. And again, these are going to be 25.5 inches long. I got a pair of 2x4s. These 2x4s are both 66 inches long. And then, of course, we have to have our legs. These 4x4s are 35.25 inches tall. That way, when we have our 3/4 inch thick plywood, it should end up at about 36 inches from the finished floor, which is the working height for a kitchen. Should work out really well in the workshop as well. The only other thing you'll be needing, of course, are some angle brackets. Get some heavy-duty ones. You can usually find them pretty inexpensive. I found these in the framing section at my hardware store. So you'll need a good 6 of them or so. Depends on how sturdy you want it. But I'll stop there and we'll start building. So this is one of the tables that I've already built. I pre-built it just to make sure it would work out. Didn't want to start the build video on this one over here if I didn't know it was going to work. But as you can see, it looks exactly like it did in the design. So we got our 4x4 legs there on either side. You can see that the mitered edges finished it off really nicely, gave it a nice little balance so you didn't see the framing underneath. And the only thing that I said I would add, because I would change one thing about it, is these 2x4s I've cut to make braces along the two short ends of the table legs. It's really sturdy as it is. You can see I'm barely able to move it. But if you really got whacking on it with a hammer, then you'd probably notice a little bit of movement. These braces could do a little bit of sturdy up, but that's completely optional. But we're going to take you through how to make this with those things right now.
Alright, so at this point, of course, we just wanted to cut the top so we can put it off to the side and get most of the major cutting out of the way, plus reducing the size of the largest thing in the room here. So you'll see that we'll be using that framing square quite a bit and a straight edge. Those are pretty much key to everything that you're doing here. So obviously make it straight, make it square, and make sure it's a nice thick black mark. I'm using either a Sharpie or an ink pen. I use both. And of course we'll cut it off. I don't have the workshop built, so at this point we're just using kind of primitive common tools like the circular saw, corded, not even cordless. So we'll just rip through this, and of course I wanted to make my cuts such that I could use them later, so I decided a 2 foot by 4 foot extra piece there, and then the longest piece will chop it off a little bit. So I did end up using those. Stay tuned for later videos, see what I use the scraps for if you're interested, but for right now we'll focus on the tabletop. Next thing, of course, we'll be building the legs, and I don't have a bench to build it on, so we're gonna just count on our floor being level, which it's not. But in order for that to work, you got to make sure that everything's off of the floor. So nice, even, clean sweep. And we'll definitely want to square up like we just did, pilot hole, and then drill screws. You'll see that's a common theme throughout everything that we're doing here. Square, pilot, drill, or screw rather. Just lining it up there with the mitered edge on the side pieces. We're doing the decorative pieces first. Square, pilot, screw. I had 2 different drills, so I didn't have to keep changing drill bits from drilling to the screwing. Of course, we'll do the same exact thing with the other side. Square, pilot, and screw. Also keep in mind that it was this project that really tipped me over the edge to buy a tool belt I have a bad habit of holding screws in my mouth. You'll see that in several videos probably. Even once I got my tool belt, I still do that. So anyway, you want to set these things on their side. Use a scrap piece of the 1x from the chop saw and set it there. That way you're not ruining the miter, and the miter's not throwing you off level when you have it up on its side like that. So, but the same thing applies here. We put our 66-inch wide 2x4 right in there and squared it up and pilot hold and screwed it in, just like everything else. Squaring, of course, is vital at this stage. So of course at this point I want to check to make sure everything's going to line up right, and it does. So we'll just go ahead and flip it over and install the 2x4 the same way on the other side. And I skipped over that for the sake of you not saying the same thing twice, but I'll say a note real quick. At this stage, if you want to wait and not put on that long decorative 2x6, instead install 2x4 cross braces between the two 2x4s that you have there now. It'll save you some headache so that you can get your drill in behind where you see that 2x6 and you can screw those in. I should also mention that I'm doing 3 screws per plate and only 2 on the 2x4s. Being really careful not to hit the adjacent screws. Of course, we'll do that same thing on the other side. We'll pilot, screw, and if the miters line themselves up, so you really don't got to do a whole lot of squaring. Whenever you get your tabletop, you want to flip it upside down. Make sure you find out what side you want on top, what side you want on bottom, especially if you have one side sanded. Of course you want that side up. But what I'm doing is I'm just marking out the perimeter, so 3 inches of overhang that I had accounted for minus the 3/4 inch thick 1x6, so 2 1/4 all the way around. Marking that out so I know where to flip the table. When I flip the whole table assembly upside down right here, I know where to line it up at, and we'll just be using the table upside down to attach the top. And we'll be doing that with our angle brackets. I have 1/2-inch screws that I'll be screwing through the angle brackets into the top so it doesn't go all the way through. And definitely don't pilot these for the sake of not going all the way through to the top. But more angle brackets you have, the more 1/2-inch screws you have, the stronger it's going to be, because it is only a 1/2 inch, probably a 1/4 inch of thread by the time it's going in. So at this point we can just flip it over and see how we did. There is no support on mine as far as the legs, getting some cross support there, so they're a little wobbly at first. She's also on an unstable floor, so I just kick the legs into place and she stops wobbling, and later on I'll screw in my cross braces. But that has been how to build this DIY workbench. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely like and subscribe if you want some more, and follow along for the whole workshop building process. Until then, this is Marcus, signing out.